As Ron has mentioned, one of the responsibilities of the distributor is to create ICPs. So the distributor can do that by logging on to the registry and going to the Icp Attribute Screen. And it's from that screen that you can enter in the information for a new ICP. Now what you need, of course, is an ICP identifier, and we've got that little spreadsheet, and you actually generated a number in the very first exercise, and we're going to use that number as the ICP identifier for the ICP that you'll create. Now when the distributor has to enter in a load of information, including address information, if a minimal amount of information is supplied, then the ICP is created in a status of new. And not all the information has been provided at that stage, so the trader can't, the proposed trader can't step in and start entering their information. When you supply all of the information that the distributor has to supply, then the ICP moves into a ready state. So it's ready for the trader to take control. And the trader enters in information, nominates an MEP, and they can supply all the information, and they can put that ICP into either an active or an inactive state. If they make the ICP inactive, then they have to give a reason for why the ICP is inactive. And finally, in the life cycle, ICPs can be decommissioned. So this is the screen, the Icp Attribute Screen, where where you can actually create an ICP. I'll just very quickly do that for you before I get you to do the exercises. So here's the spreadsheet. I've got to try and think of a number that I haven't used previously, so I'm hoping I haven't used that. So that's the spreadsheet that's the ICP identifier I'm going to use. So I'll copy that onto the clipboard, and now log on as a distributor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to see whether I've actually used this ICP identifier previously. I'm going to search on that ICP identifier, and this is one of these cases where I hope that I'm going to fail. I hope that this ICP doesn't actually exist. So I'll paste in the ICP identifier and do a search, and fortunately I've got that 103 error that says the ICP number has not been found, which is good. I'm glad that that's the case. So it means I can go to the attribute screen now, and I can paste in that identifier and then start putting in some information. Now I'm going to supply absolute minimum information to start off with. So I'll say that that it's going to be number 6 on a street called Capitol Way. and that's in a town of Wellington. And the region is Wellington. Okay, now if I put this information into the registry, I've got to specify the date when this is supposed to be effective from. So we'll put in today's date, which is the 31st of July. And as well as putting in some address information, you've also got to put in a network event. And even though I'm not going to specify anything in here, I do need to have an event date. So I'll put in 31st of the 7th, 2014. And I put in hardly any information at all there, but if I click the update button, okay, I've been successful in adding an address event and a network event. And if we have a look over here at the ICP status, you'll notice that it's in a new status. Okay, so let's add a bit more information here. So in the network section of events, let's specify the point of connection. Okay, so this is the network supply point, net 10001. The reconciliation type, because this is just going to be on the developer's local network, the reconciliation type, Ron mentioned these before, GN is the one we want, grid connected network. The installation type, now, what am I doing? Am I taking electricity from the network? Am I generating electricity and injecting it onto the network, or am I doing both? Let's say I'm just consuming electricity. Now, this is where you've got to remember when you agreed with your partner that one of you was going to be RET 1 and one of you was going to be RET 2. Got to remember which decision you made. So let's suppose I agreed to be RET 1. And also we need to specify in the pricing events, we need to specify the price category code, and also the loss factor code. And so the price category code, let's see if we can see what the price category code is going to be. Well, before, you may remember I told you that you can find out codes by going to the utilities menu. And normally you go utilities, static data, but if you want to find the price category codes, click on price category rather than static data. And for Net 1, there are a couple of codes that have been set up here, PCAT1 and PCAT2. If I go to my own network down in Christchurch, Orion, they've got some more meaningful kind of price category codes here. So for instance, they've got this code here called GEN for a general connection. And these price category codes are basically, they're going to determine what the line's charges are. If I had a dairy farm out in the Wop somewhere, maybe the code that would be applied to me would be IRR, an irrigation type connection. Okay, so those are the price category codes. And there's also some loss factor codes as well. So for net 1, the LFC1 has been set up as a loss factor code, and I'm going to use PCAT1 as the price category code. So, okay, back to the ICP now. And we're down here in the pricing group of attributes. So basically, on this attribute screen, if you're a distributor, you're concerned with everything that's on the right-hand side of the screen. The address attributes here, the network attributes here, and also these pricing attributes. So for the date, let's put in today's date. Price category code PCAT1, a loss factor code LFC1.
Is there a reason you don't validate this? Like, it seems a bit pointless that you've got a table that says this is the distributor, this is their codes.
Yes.
You're only allowed to change your own stuff. Why isn't it linked so that you can only have a drop down of your own codes?
That's just a question. It hasn't been done. It hasn't been done. So it's a suggestion that you could make. Yep. Probably you're familiar with your own codes. You know, a distributor would be familiar with their own codes.
Part of the problem is that people make mistakes when they type things in because they can put text in there which doesn't link back to what
Yes.
registered codes are.
Yes. Yep. And the other thing that you can specify in terms of determining the line charges is this chargeable capacity. So you've got to put something in there. So I'll put in 1 and click the update button. And this time we see there's a message that we haven't changed the address information, so there's no new information for the address. But we have changed the network and we have changed added a pricing event in there as well. And now if you have a look at the ICP status, you notice that it's ready. It's changed from new to ready, which means that at this point the retailer, the trader, could enter the scene and start entering in some information. Okay, so if we go back to the slides, exercise 7 is it's basically doing what I've been demonstrating on the screen. It's to create a new ICP and put in minimal address information. Hopefully it'll be in just a new state. And then exercise 8 is to add the extra information so that the ICP should then move into a ready state. And exercise 9 is to make some additional changes, just a bit of practice really on those screens. So it makes the ICP a bit more interesting because the ICP now will have some unmetered load. There'll be electric fence and it'll be generating, the installation type will be changed from L load to B both load and generation. And we're going to have some solar power photovoltaic stuff, and okay. So it's just a bit more exercise in using those screens. So it's exercises 7, 8, and 9, please.